Hey everyone, welcome back to Blossom Bliss Homestead. I'm Kelly and today I'm going to show you how to make a delicious tomato soup using the tomatoes that Eric and I harvested this week. There's nothing quite like the taste of homegrown veggies, and so I'm super excited to share this simple and flavorful recipe with you guys. Now I'm going to be honest, these are the tomatoes that Eric and I picked this past week. So I washed them off and now I'm just going to be slicing off the ends. I'm slicing off if they have any cracks, and some of them have bad bits and some of them are soft on different parts. So I'm just slicing this off, and don't fret though because we try not to waste anything. So these imperfect parts are going to make the perfect treat for our chickens and our bunnies. So after I get rid of these parts we don't want, then I'm just quartering the tomatoes. I'll slice some in half, and then the smaller ones like the cherries, a lot of the times I'll leave whole so that they're all about the same size when they're roasted in the pan. This was about 3 to 4 pounds of tomatoes. Next, I'm going to roughly chop up 1 onion. Every time I chop an onion, I think about the way my mom and sister chop their onions. I can't tell you how it is or why or how they learned, but I just find it interesting the other ways people chop onions. You may think I'm crazy, but just watch someone else sometime and you'll see what I mean. So after I chop the onions, I'm moving on to garlic. I chopped the bottom off several bulbs of garlic, and here I'm just messing around with this paper. So the paper was really testing my patience. So whatever tips you might have for removing it, I would love to hear it in the comments. I've tried a few things, but they're just not sticking. Also, by this time, the onion was literally killing my eyes. So future self, here's a tip. Cut your onion last. Now my favorite part was harvesting and adding all the fragrant basil we've been growing. I'm using 3 different kinds of basil here. The first one I'm using is this Thai blue spice. This one is very strong and pungent, and it's also very spicy to me. Next, you're gonna see larger leaves from my lettuce leaf basil. This one is very mild, and I usually use it for wraps, but I wanted to include some with it today. And last but not least, everybody loves the beautiful sweet basil that you grow. You can never go wrong with sweet basil. It's sweet, it's fragrant, and it just has a perfect traditional basil flavor. Also, you'll see that I'm going through, I have oregano. It's called Za'atar oregano, and it's just been growing in our gardens as well. It's a wonderful mulch and living mulch ground cover, so I'm adding that as well. Then all of these get a rough chop and they're all added to the pan. Now I'm going to drizzle with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. It's probably a few tablespoons, and then I'm sprinkling it with Celtic sea salt. You can use whatever salt you have though. Lastly, I'm giving it a toss just to make sure that everything is well incorporated, and then I'm going to put it in the oven at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes, give or take. I'm not really good, I just kind of check it when I think it might be ready. I usually turn it on broil for the last few minutes just to char the tops a tad, but I always end up burning something, and you can see on this one that I got the edges of our focaccia bread just a little bit crispy. Now here comes the fun part. I pour all the tomatoes, onions, garlic, and basil into my Ninja food processor, and I'm going to add 1 cup of chicken broth and about 2 big spoonfuls of sour cream. Now you could swap the sour cream for half and half, maybe about a half a cup, a half and half, or milk. But I really like the added tanginess it brings to the soup, so that's why I like to go with sour cream. Now I'm gonna blend on high, and about halfway through I kind of just check to see how it's looking. If it's pretty chunky, I'll keep blending more and just see how it goes. Sometimes I like a chunkier soup, in which case this would be finished. But we are wanting a smoother soup tonight, and since my food processor did its best, we're now moving on to soup phase 2, which is putting all the soup in another bowl and breaking out the immersion blender, or some people call it a stick blender. And this is going to absolutely pulverize any of the larger chunks left. Look how smooth that is now. And just like that, our garden fresh tomato soup is ready to serve. Look at that gorgeous color. It's like summer in a bowl. We are eating ours with a sourdough focaccia that I made back in March, and I froze it like 5 months ago and into individual slices, so that on soup night, all I have to do is toast it in the oven with my tomatoes and top it with mozzarella. I like to chop it up into larger croutons for my soup. I'll sprinkle on some Parmesan cheese and then do a light drizzle of balsamic reduction. And now we can eat. So remember when we were slicing our tomatoes and we were putting all those bad bits to the side for our chickens and bunnies? Well, I did not forget about them, so let's go take a look. Here's Homer and Virgil. First, I'm gonna give them more of the greens, so I'm gonna give them all the leftover stems from my basil. But I'm also gonna give them just a couple pieces of tomato. I'm not really sure. They've never had tomatoes before, so we'll see if they like it. And the girls over here are going crazy. They love treats, so we'll come over here and we'll give all these girls the rest of the tomato pieces, and they will give me wonderful fresh eggs. I think 3 of them are laying right now. So we're getting white eggs, green eggs, and brown eggs, and I'll show you those at another time. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're gonna give this recipe a try with your own garden tomatoes. Let me know in the comments how it turns out, or if you have any other variations that you guys love. Also, don't forget to subscribe to keep up with our homesteading adventure and more garden to table recipes. Until next time, happy gardening and happy cooking.